We are going live, Alec.
Okay.
Hi, hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Hello. We are here with the Special Spirits series. I'm saying hello from London, and I've got my special guest, Alec Raebel, who is based in the US. Please tell us where.
I'm based in the U.S. It's the state that I live in is called Wisconsin. It's in the central U.S.
Beautiful. Yes, and we are here to talk about, as usual, invisible and visible challenges people face, disabilities, which are faced by wonderful, amazing people who agree to share their stories here with us live. And Alec is one of those amazing people who are joining us to share his stories. And a little about Alec. Alec is a founder, a very young founder of Hope for Today's Tomorrow Ministries. He's also a podcaster, I think an upcoming author, a poet, and he has a story of overcoming his personal challenges, his health challenges. And on purpose, have not learned much about Alex's story just to maintain that curiosity, as we would like to learn more. So, Alec, welcome, and please let us know about your personal story. What challenges you had to face, and how is it affecting you? So, let us know.
Okay. Okay. Um. So just so you know, just before I even get started here, I can't see any of the comments, so you will have to read it off. Just so you know. Um. So, man, my story, this personal story of suffering, um, starts back when I was young. So back when I was 7, and I'm gonna tell this part of the story as best I can, but I don't remember it for myself, but I do know how to tell it based upon the fact that I've heard other people tell it to other people. Um, and I've heard it told to me before. So I will do my best to tell it accurately. Back when I was 7, it was around Saint Nick 2004, and what happened was I got a headache. Oh, excuse me. I got a headache, and obviously a headache isn't a bad thing. It's actually a pretty normal thing to have. But the thing about mine was it kept getting worse and worse and worse, and there was no relief. There was no sense of, okay, it's getting better. So I told my mom about this, and I'm like, hey, it's just nothing's happening, nothing's helping. She goes, okay, well, let's go see your doctor. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if there is anything up. And she ran some tests, she ran some scans, and she said, "Well, the bad news is you have meningitis, so you're gonna have to go to the hospital." And my mom was like, "Well, okay." So we go to the hospital, um, and they kind of give me my own room, and they run some more tests, and they're like, "Well, the good news is the meningitis didn't get worse. But the bad news is, not only does he have meningitis, but he also has encephalitis, which is the swelling of the spinal cord." And they ran some more tests, and they ran more of this and that, and they were like, "Well, good news and bad news. Good news is the meningitis and encephalitis didn't get worse, but now he also has myelitis, which is the shrinking of the brain tissue. So, if you imagine blowing up a balloon in a vise or in a vase, you would realize that once it fills the vase completely, it'll start to be get high density pressure, and at some point or another will explode. Well, that's what my brain was doing. My brain was swelling, and my brain tissue was shrinking simultaneously, which or at the same time. And due to that pressure and that pain, I fell into a coma, a 2-week coma. Here's the cool part about this is that I actually started showing signs of coming back on Christmas morning.
Mm.
Um, which I guess alone in itself was kind of a sign that um, it was gonna be good. So around a year, I thought it was longer than this, but I asked my mom recently. She goes, "Nope." So only a year of physical therapy, pretty intense physical therapy.
Mhm.
Um, I definitely spent some time in occupational therapy and speech therapy. Um, so what I learned this interesting thing recently that on an MRI, if they were to look at my brain, the part of my brain that controls balance is still so damaged right now that medically I shouldn't be able to walk.
Mm.
Like I
Wow.
shouldn't be able to, but I can, and I have
Yeah.
pretty decent balance. So I'm in there for around 56 days in total. Um, and we get out, miracle, total miracle. Um, and from then on, I kind of lived a semi-normal life. I had an IEP or independent education plan. I had some ADHD issues or tendencies. I had my struggles after that, but man, could it have been worse.
Yes.
Then I turned 15. This is freshman year of high school. I just finished my volleyball season for freshman year. This is my 4th year of playing volleyball, and man, I just loved it. I played
Mhm.
club for a year at that point. If I just kept going, I would have been in my prime for volleyball. But unfortunately, right after my volleyball season, freshman year, I started losing vision. Now, let me clarify what that means. At first, I only lost the bottom half of my right eye. It kind of went blurry, and then the next day it grayed out, and then later on it blacked out. Well, okay, so one thing I had to learn and one perspective I had to adapt to my life at 15 years old was I remember specifically when this happened too. I was sitting in my mom's car right outside the ophthalmologist office where we just got the news, hey, you have to go to the ER, your optic nerve is swollen. Okay, cool. But we're sitting there waiting for my dad to show up so he can see me and get updated in person and tell me it's going to be okay. But he told me don't freak out. And he was definitely worried because this is all of a sudden. I totally get it. But as somebody who was
Mhm.
the one losing vision, I had time to process it and think it over. So for me, I was totally okay with it. And at that point, when I learned to do the perspective that I adapted and adopted as my own, is when you are dealing with loss, don't focus on loss, focus on what you still have. And at that moment, I realized, yeah, sure, the bottom half of my right is gone, but I have the top half of my right and I have my left eye completely, so I can still work with it. Um, and we went to the hospital at that point, diagnosed with optic neuritis, and they were like, all right, well, keep an eye on it, pun intended, obviously. So, around a year later, actually almost around a year exactly later, I go to the peripheral vision in my left eye starts to shrink and concave on itself. So at that point, I had lost my peripheral vision in my left eye, diagnosed with the same thing, optic neuritis. Okay, well, we're gonna deal with it. I still have the top half of my right and I still have my left eye. Well, at 17, around a year later, I lost my right eye completely, and I was blind in my right eye 100%. That was also the year that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis or
Mhm.
MS. And MS is a big part of the reason that I am who I am today. And I'm gonna go into a little bit about how I view MS and how I adapted that view.
Yes, please. That was my next question. So perfect. Perfect flow.
At 21, I lost the bottom half of my left eye working in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as a camp counselor for a Christian camp that I was working at. Oh man, I'll never forget it. August 12th. It was like 6 p.m. and we just finished this group Bible study, and I was on my phone looking at the verses we were just looking at, and all of a sudden I realized I can't see the bottom half of my phone. So I did some vision tests, and I was like, "Yep, the bottom half of my left gone." So, guys, let me tell you something about loss and about hard times and about struggles that are both visible and invisible. For one, live your life with these difficulties like you weren't living your life with these difficulties. Make it look like it's not there. Make it look invisible. Why? Because if people can see your struggles, it's not always beneficial. But if people find out later that you do have these difficulties and you made it look easy, and I'm not saying that it will be, but I'm saying
No.
that to them they were like, I never would have guessed, if you can do that, people will start to unconsciously adapt a better viewpoint of their situation because they'll see, man, look what they're going through, and they make it look like they're not going through it. I want to try and do that. And this is going to be an unconscious thing, guys. Like, they don't even have to think this. They're just automatically going to do it. So if you are going through difficulties, please try to just not make it look like a visible struggle. Obviously, it's still going to be there, but put on that tough face because guess what? We are warriors. Now, I want you guys, whoever is listening to this, either right now or maybe the recording after this is done, say this with me. I am a warrior, a survivor. I am a fighter, and I have made it this far, and I'm not about to stop. So say that every single time you wake up and you look yourself in the mirror. Say, I'm a fighter. You are a fighter. We are going to make it through it. And if you can do that, guys, and if you can keep that mentality throughout the day, welcome to the Elite Warrior Club. Seriously. So, one
Amazing.
one of the things that I adopted, so I started writing poetry at 17. And at 19, I remember we were at a restaurant and I wrote this down on a napkin. And I wrote this poem called Dear MS. And Dear MS, I redefined MS, not only for myself, but for everyone. And I said, what is MS? And I looked at it from the most simplistic point of view. MS is just an acronym. It's 2 letters. Yes, it means multiple sclerosis, but hey, I'm a poet, so let's play around with this a little bit. MS, yes, you may have taken my sight, MS, my sight, but you will never have my spirit, MS, my spirit. And yes, even though, yes, MS, you have given me many symptoms, MS, many symptoms, you've also made me mentally strong, MS. You've also given me much strength, MS. And yes, I will nail you when I want to the cross with my sickness, my shame, my sin, my sorrow, and my suffering with guess what? Guess who, MS? My Savior, you are nothing to me or to us. You don't define me, I define you. So I can't wait to work with you, MS. Yours truly, Alec. And what this means is guess what? Don't tell the man what disease he has. Tell the disease what man he has. We are stronger than our disease, whether you know it or not. When you put your mind over the matter, There's no comparison. Game over. We've won. And guess what? We have a God who is, what does the Bible say? I'm trying to remember. He is a good doctor. You remember that Jesus didn't come for the healthy, he came for the sick. He came for the prostitutes, the debt collectors, the people who worked with taxes, the fishermen. He came for those who weren't healthy and had it all together. He came to earth to help those who were broken. And guys, if you are in a broken place, I want you to hold out your hands and say, God, take this brokenness. It's not of mine, it is of the devil. So take it. I do not claim it as my own. It is of this world, and I am not of this world. I am of you. So, guys, if you are broken, take this, whatever you have, breathe it in, hold it, release it. Get rid of anything that's in your lungs, that's in your body. Get rid of it, guys. And that's just kind of, I guess, what I have to say right off the bat. Sorry, I don't mean to like steal your thunder or anything, but like that's I always like to get that out of the way right away.
Which is beautiful, and thank you so much, because you were flowing, you were there, just preaching in the best sort of understanding of that interpretation of the word. So, and I know that's what you do for your work.
Mhm.
You are taking people from that place of despair, frustration, and sadness to a different level. And you do it with that spiritual message, that spiritual teachings, which obviously helped you so beautifully. Uh,
Absolutely.
and you sharing that message. So I was just, you could have talked for hours. I'll be just sitting here, breathing in and out, and feeling absolutely uplifted. And you are so right. When you don't give up, when you don't let illness or any illness or any situation to ground you and take your life away, you are an inspiration. And people like me who don't have the same challenge as you will think, oh my god, what is my excuse? And there will be people in your situation who will be thinking, okay, this is good, he could make it, why couldn't I? So you are absolutely amazing in what you are doing. And you are only 23.
23.
23, here we go. So that is amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. And
Absolutely.
can you tell us a bit more? Because now I'm sure everyone who's watching it and will be watching it is curious how how to find you, what you do, how to so follow you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Uh Please, if you're gonna I met you through Clubhouse.
Yes,
And
yes, we met on the Clubhouse. Yes.
one of the things that I learned on Clubhouse is I was using every guys, if you can name social media, I was using it to promote this ministry and to promote my messages and promote all these things in the podcast episodes and whatnot.
Mhm.
And it was exhausting. But thankfully, I heard on Clubhouse someone say, okay, well, if you're using social media, just pick one and specialize in that. So I got rid of every single social media. Well, I did not got rid of it. I still have it. I still use it, but I'm not posting on it anymore. Now I'm using Instagram. So if you guys want to follow me and if you guys want to get in touch, um, please start by just following me on Instagram and DM me. I am always willing to listen to you guys, to talk to you guys, and connect with you guys. I have found around 13 of the kids that I'm mentoring right now. They found me through Instagram. So if you want advice or anything, please check me on Instagram, official underscore Alec underscore Raebel. If you look at it right here, that is Alec Raebel, just go official underscore and then this underscore that.
We can put a
Um,
link in the comment section, so we can have it there for anyone to just not worry about misspelling or forgetting.
yes.
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there is that. What I do is every single week I'm working on a schedule. I am so I've been so scatterbrained these past few weeks, and I have so much going. I'm juggling so many things. I've actually gotten rid of a lot of them. I was writing 2 books. I was hosting my own podcast and co-hosting a podcast with a buddy of mine. I was helping run a ministry with this guy in Australia. His name is Ken, and I was also running my own ministry. I was mentoring around 30 kids at one point. I was going to school full time. I'm taking a semester off of school for just to get my sanity back to where it needs to be. I was
Yes.
doing all of these things, and I learned maybe just do a few things.
Yes.
So,
I think it's a good advice for anyone, including
yeah,
myself.
guys, don't have an emotional and a mental breakdown like I did. Before you do, realize it's too much, and then let go.
Mhm.
Yeah, God did not design us to be everything for everyone. Be yourself and let that be enough. I'm not even kidding. Be
Mhm.
yourself, let that be enough. Okay? Um
Mhm.
so for those who have a lot that you're juggling right now, just be yourself, man. Because guess what? Nobody else can be that for us. So be yourself, please. We need it.
Everyone else is taken. I've heard it before. Everyone else is taken. We have one body, one identity, usually. We should just embrace it and shine our light, I
Oh,
think.
yes. Shine your light, guys. We are the salt of this world and we cannot lose our saltiness. So please,
Mhm.
please, please keep that saltiness by not overwhelming yourself.
Beautiful. That's a fantastic closing comment, unless you want to add anything else. And I'm so glad we met on Clubhouse. We heard each other on Clubhouse in one of the podcast rooms, I think. And your voice definitely resonated with me. That's why we've connected. And you agreed very kindly to come and talk on this show. So grateful.
Yeah.
And
So
yes.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn my phone back on. I'm gonna take a look at the message you sent me because you sent me questions and I have not looked at them. I promised you I would not, and I have not. But
Mhm.
um there's so many different you sent me a, a few different questions and I want to make sure I touch on them. Did I touch on them? Do you know?
Yes, yes, you have. Yes, you
I
have.
have. Okay.
The only question we haven't really talked about was the book which you, or 2 books which you
Right.
started writing,
Okay.
and we haven't talked about your book. So please
Yes, yes, yes.
feel free to add.
Guys, if you are interested in coming on Clubhouse where Monica and I met, if you guys want to
Mhm.
come on or with Monica and I and millions of others from around the world, and you want to connect with people from around the world and just have these cool connections and contacts, um, you need to be nominated by somebody else who's already on to get on. So if you need to be nominated, let me know. I have around 27 nominations that I can use. So please let me know and I can get you on and you can start connecting with people on there. So one of the things that I run a club that's has the same name as the book that I'm writing, which is called Seeing Through Blind Eyes. And the book itself is it can change the world if it does what I would like it to do. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying that like I have a world changing possibility. It's the approach that I'm taking is kind of what the world needs right now. And I'm co-authoring with a buddy of mine, Matthew Myers, and the reason that he and I are writing it specifically is because Matthew was born blind without a right eye. Like he has an eye, it just he was born blind in it. And
Oh,
what we want to do is help people see through blind eyes. It's not even a
oh,
pun. It's exactly that. We want people to put themselves in the shoes of someone who is lacking vision.
shift
To
perspective. Yes.
perspective, exactly. Because
Mhm.
what people can do is if they can have this perspective, they can adapt that whole. Well, I want to see what they see, or feel what they feel. They can do that with anyone, and therefore there is so much more understanding in this world if people just listened to what we have to say and what our experience has been and where we're coming from when it comes to what we say
Absolutely.
and the lifestyle that we live. And the other book that
Mhm.
I'm writing is a book on leadership called Personable Leadership. And the idea behind that book is the philosophy: do not lead just because you've been given a title of leadership, but instead lead because that's where your heart lies, is within leadership. Because in this world, I guarantee you, you agree with me. I don't know if we're thinking about the same people. I don't know if we're thinking about the same area of leadership, but leadership is becoming so fake. It's becoming something that people just do for a living, but not for a reason. You'll see this in politics around the world. Now, I'm not going to mention specific examples because of the fact that I don't really know enough to really make say one thing or say another. And before I say things, I definitely want to make sure I'm informed. Another thing that you'll see is you'll see that religious leaders from around the world and churches around the world, you'll see corruption in not only in their hearts but within the church, within the community. You'll see that people from around the world, when it comes to military, when it comes to this, when it comes to all areas, there is corruption in leadership. And if we just adapt
Yes.
people, lead because that's what your heart wants to do. Don't lead because that's what your position is.
Mhm.
Then we'd start to see a shift in the world. We start to see people love instead of hate. We'd start to see people have empathy instead of arrogance. We'd start to see a change in the world, and that's just something that I want to help be a part of, is that change.
Mhm.
So
Beautiful.
I guys, I don't know when the book's going to come out, probably not for a few years, because I have so much going on. But if you guys are interested in kind of just a pitch that I've been given, just be on the lookout for it. And on top of that, follow me on social media
Follow you.
and
Yes. Follow you
follow
on
me on social media,
Instagram.
and you will be getting updates on
Absolutely. And I
when.
love that message of heart-led leadership. That is what the world needs. And there are people like yourself who are a part of the change, a very important ignition of that change. So thank you for being, thank you for spreading that message. You are the best example of someone who makes miracles happen. And I'm I'm really, really, really thankful that you've agreed to come on and share that with us. So I'm going to follow you because I think I haven't even followed myself. So we put the link in the chat in the comment section for everyone, including myself, to follow you and be up to date with your developments, with your progress. And obviously, you can also put a handle on your Clubhouse so people can find you on Clubhouse. How about
Yes,
that?
I'd love to hear from
As
you
I've
guys.
noticed, you hang out there quite a lot. So
Not as much recently. Not as much recently. Usually, I do like one or two rooms a day because I have usually it's about positivity and perspective. But man, just lately I've been so busy. Especially, I have like a couple. of voice actors, one from Norway and one from England. We got to get those times set up. It's coming on one of the podcasts. A fashion designer, a dating expert. I have a friend of Archer's who runs her own podcast coming on. I have so many things to outline, and oh, it's been a busy.
And so little time. Yes, yes. I know the feeling, Alec. I know the feeling. But
Yep.
it was a good advice to streamline. So let's just use your advice to your
Yes.
benefit, my benefit, and everyone else who's spreading themselves too thin. And it's
Yes.
very tempting. We are connecting with so many wonderful people on Clubhouse from all over the
Absolutely.
world. It's a great, huge pool of
Absolutely.
connections. So and I'm
Yeah.
that perspective you are talking about. It just fits in with the theme of this series as well, so well, because it's all about making sure we see others the way they see the world, because it's we don't know until we experience. So we need to listen and try to understand that perspective from someone who's in that place. And it can go for variety of situations and variety of visible, invisible disabilities. And I'm so thankful you sharing your perspective, because it's not only the perspective, it's the message of hope and overcoming, which is such a powerful one with you. So thank
Yeah,
you.
that's also where the name Hope for Today's Tomorrow comes from, is just
Mhm.
getting that message out there. Um, and again, guys, if you do want to check out Hope for Today's Tomorrow, you can actually Google it if you wanted to. It's Hope and then the number four, because it's 4 years worth of programming. So,
Yes.
if you guys want to check that out on Spotify, that's where you can find the podcast too.
Amazing. Well, let's put those links in the comment section. So it will be. Let's make it easy for people.
Yes, I agree.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I think that's all we had, all the time we had for this chat. We can. I would love to connect again on Clubhouse and maybe have you back in our on our podcast in some
I
time to share your progress, talk about your books, talk about your programs when the world is back to some kind of normality.
Yeah, right. I would love to come back on. Yeah, you just let me know what times work for you, and I will put it in my schedule.
Amazing. Well, Alec, thank you so much. And I wish you all the best. And thank you for watching, to everyone who watched. Thank you for those who watched us on replay. And we'll be back. I'll be back here on Tuesday again with another guest on Special Spirit Series. Until now, until then, bye and thank you again.